All right, Jane the Virgin, Season 5, Episode 15, or Chapter 96. I feel like I'm about ready to get back on camera soon to do these. I've been so busy with packing and moving and unpacking that I didn't want to be on camera. I was not camera ready. Not that I ever did anything special to be camera ready, but I was like, yeah, it's not happening. I can't do this. And then I think I just got like used to doing it this way. It's like so much easier to do a voiceover type video. But I think maybe this week or next week I'll be able to put my face back on these bad boys. Anyhow, we pick up where we left off after the car accident in episode 14, which I was so excited about. I seriously texted so many family members because I was really sure that I missed an episode, and then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, why would they air an episode on July 3rd? That's kind of silly. But yeah, I wasn't paying attention to the holiday. I was just worried about Jane. Petra has a broken arm, and Magda appears to be in a coma. Jane realizes that she is going to be a stepmom and decides she wants to get closer to the girls and make sure that they feel like they're a part of Jane and Raph's little bubble and, you know, in their apartment and all this stuff. Like, they're not like separate units, they're family. Jane is suddenly inspired and gets in the writing zone, and just like that, her novel is finished. She's all done with it. An opportunity arises then for Jane to babysit the twins, and Petra has a lengthy list of strict rules, which you think that Jane would appreciate, but she was like, what? Anyway, Magda wakes up and wigs out in the hospital from her coma because she has to be knocked out, like put under anesthetic to have her leg amputated. Not quite sure what happened in this car accident, but now she has to lose another appendage. This is Mars is going through pilot testing. The audience only seems to like the younger cast members, which is devastating to Rogelio and River. So they try to tweak the episode to like cut out things that make them look too old. It's really silly. But Jane, but at least they bond. Jane sends her novel to Marlene and Marlene's publisher lover, Jill, and I feel like this is the first time I found her name out, so the lover is Jill. She's Jill the lover. And Marlene loves it, but Jill decides to pass and not represent Jane. While Jane is babysitting, the girls sneak their iPads after they are told they can only have them after dinner, per Petra. Jane tells Petra that they had this little issue, so the girls find out, thanks to Petra, and now Jane is considered a narc. And so the twins turn on Aunt Jane. Back in Louisa land, Louisa is being coached by Bobby, per Rose's instructions. We find out Bobby was at Raph's apartment that one episode to search for a tie tack. And if you're confused about what a tie tack is, so was I. And I was like, what are they saying? Tie tack? Tie tack? And I'm like, is this like a name of a company? What am I missing? Like, I thought like I was so behind for some reason. It just felt weird having that week off. But it's what I would call a tie clip. My husband has several, so maybe I'll pop a little picture of one. But that's what a tie tack is. I was like, all right, whatever, tie tack. Tomato. Louisa pays a visit to Raph's apartment, and I'm so surprised he even opened the door. But she gives him this like BS sob story about the importance of her dad and this tie tack, and I don't know what it means to her. But Raph was smart enough to know that if she wants it, it probably has something to do with Rose. So he shuts the door in her face and then goes into his closet like you would to open the safe to check on the tie tack to make sure it was still there. And he was kind of like examining it, like, what the heck would she even want with this? And naturally, we find out that Bobby has perfectly planted a tiny fiber optic camera in Raph's bedroom to find out the code to Raph's safe. Boom. Then Jane tells Zoe she's in need of a pep talk after 3 rejections from publishers, but Rogelio isn't much help at first because he's like coming down off of his like, oh yeah, I'm not like this sexy hot star anymore type thing with the pilot. Then Rogelio and Jane come up with a plan to get Jane's manuscript in front of Isabel Allende's publisher. So Jane gets a call to pick the girls up in the middle of trying to execute this plan, so then she decides to bring Ellie and Anna to the publisher's office building, and the girls end up saving Aunt Jane from security by pretending to be the children of an important tenant of the building, and then Jane pretends to be their nanny, which she was previously offended by someone assuming she was a nanny just because she was Latina. But anyway, all goes well. The plan is a success, and Jane gets the novel on the publisher's desk. I don't even remember what this novel is about. Is it the one about Alba? Because I feel like she starts projects, and then she goes back to school, and then Sin Rocho comes up, and then I don't even know. I have no idea what this novel is about anymore. But now Jane has to explain to the girls that lying is wrong, and it was only acceptable this one time because yada, yada, yada. They bonded and hugged, and the girls like Aunt Jane again, so all is well. It was a really cute moment, actually. The girls are being really sweet because usually they're kind of snots, but they were being yeah, really sweet to Aunt Jane, so that's cool. Rogelio had to bail on time with Baby, the baby that he had with Darcy named Baby, who is getting bigger. So he had to bail on time with Baby while trying to fix his pilot with River. After a few times of doing that, Darcy eventually shows up and tells him that he's putting work before Baby and he's missing the important moments. So he decides not to go through with this crazy ass plan that he and River come up with to get the old copy of the pilot from the execs, because the execs went off to some retreat with the old copy of the pilot and not the tweaked, less old folk copy of the pilot that River and Rogelio worked on. So their like plan is to get this, copy from the execs. I don't freaking know. Anyway, River has to go it alone because Rogelio's staying home with Baby. Then Jane decides one night in bed that if this novel doesn't get picked up, she's going to move on and find something else to do. And then we get to see Raph snuggle up and fall asleep under her chin like an adorable little stallion that he is. When you think about it, she got a lot of kickback from her advisors. Her publisher was paid off. She didn't have good luck in that writing group. Her book didn't do well, and then she got dropped. She's been rejected by publishers, and that's not to say everyone has to love everything you do in order to be considered successful, but I just have to ask, is Jane actually a good writer? Because I feel like just alone Rogelio having to pay off a publisher in the first place was like, wait, what's happening? I don't understand what part of that. I feel like they needed to go deeper into that, and Jane needed to stay madder longer, because I'm like, wait, what was true and what was a lie? Was any of that any good? Why did any of that happen? I don't get it. Is she a good writer? Because remember, Michael couldn't even stay awake to read her stuff, and then it's crazy. I don't get it. She talks about wanting to be a writer and loving to be a writer, and a lot of her characters based on being a writer, but it's are you good at it? I can't tell. I don't know. 2 days later, Jane finds out that the Isabel Allende's publisher has passed on her novel as well. Then, as Jane is crying about her dreams of being a writer, they overhear Mateo reading her book. So something very lovely came out of that. It was a really sweet moment. I got teary-eyed. More teary-eyed moments. Baby takes her first steps right in front of Rogelio, so thankfully he stayed home with her, making him ultimately decide that being a star just isn't as important anymore. He's okay with being a supporting actor, but River, unfortunately, doesn't have much else to spend her time on if she's not busy being a huge celebrity. So then it turns out that River has a daughter. It's their new PA who she has been mistreating all episode. Rogelio convinces her that there's still a chance for her and her daughter to connect and have a better relationship. So I don't know if there'll be more on that, but whatever, she has a daughter. Petra scolds Jane after the twins tell her how they were a part of Aunt Jane's plan, and Jane explains that she will make sure the girls feel safe and loved, but she has to be able to have her own relationship with them. And I get it, but not sure I'd be as understanding as Petra, because it's I would still go back to they're my kids. But, whatever, especially coming from Jane, I'm like, what, girl? Magda has her leg amputated and then goes on life support like you do. Happens every day. And then back to Bobby and Louisa. They get into Raph's apartment and are, of course, now able to get into the safe thanks to the camera footage. Turns out they didn't actually need the tie tack. They wanted Louisa's father's watch. What the heck was his name again? The watch actually has his fingerprint in it. Excuse me if you can hear the papers turning with my notes, but it has their father's fingerprint on it, which allows Bobby and Louisa to unlock a giant safe with an absurd stack, just a room floor to ceiling with money. And then Petra has to go back to the hospital, take Magda off life support, and is taken aback by how little she feels. She feels nothing for Magda. And luckily, Jane and Raphael are there at the hospital to support her, and she talks to Jane and tells her she feels nothing for Magda because she was a cruel and horrible mother. Jane is super supportive of Petra and offers some reassurance. While in the waiting room, Jane gets a call. An agent wants to represent her, so that's awesome news. We're all joyous of that, and it's funny. It's a funny moment because, of course, they're in this emergency room or operating room, waiting area, and it's everybody's kind of devastated and they're hugging and jumping and screaming, right? Perhaps it's Elodia Gale Vigor. Then as Petra is signing forms to pull the plugs on Mags, sure enough, she awakens with a creepy little twitch of the claw. And then the episode ends with a dozen people who are just sitting around conference room style at this table where they, would watch Rose on TV. on the screen. So yeah, it ends with all of these people who are all identical to Rose, aka Sinrostro. Can I just say, I'm kind of over this Sinrostro crap. I feel like it happens to me every season. She always has to be crammed into a storyline, and nobody is walking around half as scared and terrified as they should be. And I'm just saying, like, as soon as I'm like enjoying the show, it's like bum bum bum, Sinrostro, or somebody's murdered, or oh that's right, there's a crack in the case, and I'm like, what? I'm gonna go back to that again. It's like doing homework. What? Anyway, I'm sure this is a way to keep suspense and build on twists and possibly keeping a connection to Michael, who may once again save the day. Never know. I just want to see Raph and Jane get married. I want to find out who the narrator is, and I want to see Petra win some more. How about you guys? I'll be back in a few days, or within the next week, with more Jane. But let me know what you're looking forward to and any of your theories. I love reading fan theories about. I think they come from Reddit. I'm old. I really like it. Reading people's theories on like who the narrator is and how Jane and Raph might possibly have another child. So yeah, let me know in the comments, and I'll be back with another video.